not only do I not want a robot in my home, I don't want a robot being controlled by a man in my home. Like literally a man with VR goggles telling the robot what to do. Have y'all seen this? Like these psychos who are running these companies that are in a rush to get these robots in our home so that you can have a friend and somebody who does all the domestic labor, blah, blah, blah. There's no way I'm trusting a guy like this and his motives. I can't even trust Google Maps to get me home safely ever at night because it doesn't seem to compute that this is a woman's account and has been since Google's been tracking me. And it sends me, just this last weekend, it sent me on a bike path down by the river at midnight where there's no lights. That's where it wanted me to go. I was like, that seems faster, but that's right next to the river. I'm pretty sure that's where like a lot of stuff goes down. So you really want one of these in your home where there is literally usually a man who is telling the robot what to do. You don't think that robot might just go, right? Like they're in your home collecting data. Like just look at this. So this is what we were promised, okay? Hoverboard, flying cars. Like the future seemed fun. The only robot that seemed maybe kind of cool was in Rocky 4 because she was like so robot-y. She didn't seem like a threat. And I saw this movie and was like, oh right, cops could be robots. They claw their way onto your moving car and can never die, no matter how many times you like. I don't want a robot. I don't want a robot. If you have not seen Terminator 2, this is why so many of us Gen Xers don't want robots. There's probably other sci-fi movies. Go ahead and list them. I don't usually watch sci-fi because it terrifies me. I'm not against technology. I'm against rich white men creating terrifying things that harm everybody because they don't think about what men especially might do with that technology, especially rich white men. They also don't know how terrifying, or maybe they do know. They do know, a lot of them. But they, like YouTube and so many of the social media apps. Maybe we should make sure kids are watching different things because this might be a place where children are groomed, right? Like women can predict all of this because women tend to be more child-centered since we're the ones left raising these little people because the dad's gone half the time or checked out, doesn't care, blah. Again, I'm not against technology. I would love for it to cure cancer. I would love for it to do other things. But what I don't want is a robot in my home that could strangle me. A robot collecting data, looking around at my house, watching me, and then sending that to some data center or some corporation where they know my intimate life inside my home more than anybody, even more than I do. Because we don't even notice our habits. They know everything about your relationships. They know everything. You want this thing in your home, like watching you? There's already Siri and all these other things. Then to have a man wearing, because come on, we know the IT world, it is usually dorks, right? The worst kind of men sometimes. Revenge of the nerds, right? The inchmells, can't get a woman until they get a lot of money and whatever. And they just, grew up thinking that they're the victim. And then now they're working for IT and they can literally operate a robot within your home. I'm sorry. No. I'm so sick of them trying to sell this to us. Like, we're just supposed to trust this. Fuck off. I first saw this a few weeks ago. I meant to do a video on it, but then other stuff happened. My nationality test, which by the way, I haven't heard back from anyone who's keeping track. Fingers crossed. But I saw this dude is like, it can load the dishwasher. The guys trying to sell this already admit it's like, it's still learning. And honestly, I think them trying to put these in homes before they actually know how to fold laundry. And it takes 5 minutes for one of these things to close the dishwashing door. How is that efficient? And they're like, well, it's okay because there's a person with VR glasses who's helping and you're giving it data. You're teaching it how to help you. No, make your freaking robot work before you put it in people's homes. At this point, I am so afraid of all of these companies are constantly just data mining and like watching us. Have we forgotten 1984? I think I read that book twice in a row. I was younger because I was like, oh my God, yeah, this could happen. But like people have been trying to warn us for a long time. Be careful of the psychos and technology, especially if the dorks get into power. These technocrats, they got these things. Do you want this thing in your home? I don't. First of all, it looks like a dude, but they make sure that it's only 5'6", so that you aren't threatened by it. Like when this thing drops a towel, it doesn't know how to pick it up. They want people to pay $20,000 for a robot that can't even close a door or pick up a towel or fold. Like, what is the point of this thing? They're just like, data fixes everything. Give us your data. People who have reviewed this thing, some of the journalists are like, this thing is making like a lot of mistakes. It's really not great. Guys, like in our view, the robot will not only act as your companion. Who do you think that companion is for? Women do not need companions like this, right? Women, I'm not saying women aren't lonely. Women are incredibly lonely. Most of those lonely women are married. If you're a single woman and you feel lonely, I promise you there are so many married women who feel lonelier than you and they have a companion. But even married women will at least throw themselves in their community and have other friends that they meet through their kids. They have family, they keep in touch. Like we have been taught to sew the social fabric. So this is really for men. Okay, but men usually have a companion who like self-abandons all the time in order to serve him. But there's going to be more and more of these men who do not have women doing that because women are being like, this is not a great deal for us. So I could see these robots being very successful for men. The problem is a lot of men are trying to get these robots in homes with children and wives already. Oh, it's going to make your load so much better. Sure. I don't trust this thing with children. You can't even trust a lot of these games that are meant for children because there are men messaging children on these games. He's like your companion in your home, being able to share like very deep memory and be I don't want to share memories with a freaking robot and be able to like basically talk to you just with speech. I don't want to talk to the robot either because it's just eavesdropping and sending all my stuff. Please stop using ChatGPT, especially for therapy or anything. Ask friends, literally ask Reddit. Stop asking ChatGPT because this is the equivalent of having like ChatGPT in your home, being like data mining. Oh, we got all of it now. And ultimately, Brett says, be able to do everything you do in the home that you don't want to do. Well, again, that sounds like men. I'm not saying that women love doing housework, but we can do it anyway. Men don't want to do all this stuff. So I could see a lot of men who just blindly trust men like this because they got money and like great ideas. Be like, yeah, I'll get a robot. Okay, I'm gonna throw $20,000 on a robot. I won't pay child support, but I'll pay for a robot because I don't want to do domestic labor. Meanwhile, they got some crazy thing in their home watching their every move. And as Time Magazine mentions in their post, that the central truth about today's AI is that it is unpredictable. A hallucination by a chatbot is annoying. A hallucination by a robot could be deadly. I appreciate them mentioning this in the post because I'm so tired of people just trusting these white rich dudes. Tight and submissible. Hello. That dude was so sure in himself and just paid to have like yes men around him, and he died from his arrogance and narcissism. And he took like all those people, including a teenager, down with him. This dude professes to take safety seriously. Yeah, sure you do. Why would you say anything different? He's testing Figure 03 in his own home where he has young children. Of course he is. We're supposed to trust him more because he's willing to put a possibly deadly robot in his home with his own children? No thanks. That makes me trust you less, bro. The time machine is subject to hardcore babysitting, he says. Oh, that's so classic. He's like, I don't want to hang out with them kids. I'm gonna get a robot to do it. Fork them kids. I got other stuff to do. Like all the photos of this thing are like, oh. This isn't even the one that I showed you at the beginning with the crazy eye. Wall Street Journal had a journalist try this humanoid home robot. It was wild. $20,000 you can pre-order delivery. They're not going to charge you extra for delivery in 2026. So the whole video is her like being like, you missed a spot. I like that a woman is testing this thing because she was like, wow. The way she was talking to this robot sounded like a lot like telling her husband, great, you said you were going to do this stuff and look at, you're like, you didn't even clean it. Are these robots going to be doing what men do, weaponized and comp, being like, sorry, I don't know. I need to watch you more. Give me some data. In this one, there may be a human behind the curtain. So you have this thing in your home and there is a person with all this stuff on doing this stuff. So she tested it out and she's like, if I throw up, will the robot throw up? Look at this thing's eyes. It's cameras. This thing couldn't even pack the dishwasher well. This guy's like, to many people, this is crazy. Yeah! He was like, you gotta be okay with this social contract. Sorry, I forgot to get that part. For the product to be useful, you basically have to accept the risks of being watched, how creepy it is, and you just gotta trust this guy. And all the men and people, but mostly men, that he's gonna hire. Because we also know that tech industry is unbelievably sexist. But all the people he's gonna hire to control the robots with their hands. They're like, the biggest challenge is creating a safe body and a smart brain. So just put one of these in our home. We'll put a man who is probably watching porn all the time and who secretly wants to unalign his mind. You know, like, there's no telling what they would have this robot do. If nothing else, they'd probably have the robot peek on you when you're in the bathroom or in the shower or sleeping. And meanwhile, they're just like, meh. They test out this freaky-deaky thing. Takes forever to load 3 items into the dishwasher. Then it literally got stuck in this position for 5 minutes. It could not reach the door. It just kept, just stuck doing something so simple. Okay, I found the full quote. If you're okay, if you buy this product, it's because you're okay with the social contract. If we don't have your data, we can't make the product better. Give us your data. Look at this. The next few years isn't about owning a super useful robot. It's about raising one. No, thank you. Well, women are already tired of raising children and men. I'm not raising a freaking robot too. But hey, it can have lots of fun. No, the last thing we need is to be more disconnected from humanity, to have less community. No! She's like 6, 7. She's trying to they're like, it needs to know how to perform tasks on its own without human help. But right now, everything that I saw Neo do was guided by a skilled teleoperator. This dude. Do you trust, with all the men being red-pilled out there, no, I don't want this dude in my home operating arms and fingers. They could pick up a knife and just stab me. Might I remind you of this guy? And also, I'm going to tag this creator because she has been talking about the Schmegs robots and how a lot of these new robots, some of the top features are being submissive, shy, hairless, childlike, and have resistance features. Basically, so that men can grape them. Because for so many men, it is about power and stealing. It's not about sharing something. It's not about a robot giving it up. They want, I've talked about this plenty, y'all. When I was on my Tender Bender and so many dudes weren't interested, once I was like, yeah, dude, let's totally fork. They wanted me to make it hard for them so that they could have the upper hand by promising the promise of a relationship, all this stuff. I wanted to have the mind fork, and I was like, no, you don't need to do all that. Let's just fork. I'm a ready, willing, eager participant. I'm a horny burn, getting close to 40. And a lot of guys immediately were not interested. So that resistance feature is absolutely going to appeal to a lot of men. She was talking about in every study examining even symbolic catharsis, the weight of empirical evidence shows that any kind of viewing or not normalizing of aggressive behavior leads to increased aggressive behavior. And she talks about how, some people are like, well, give them a robot so they don't do this stuff on us. No, it's not a pressure valve. It is not going to actually help them by giving them a robot to do all this crazy stuff on them. They're not going to get it out of their system. They're actually going to be more prone to doing it. The brain does not work like a pressure valve that needs releasing. When somebody practices maximum violence on a robot, or God forbid, they're not purging the desire in them, they're rehearsing it. Boom! And I too don't think people are as mad as we should be. I don't want robots doing domestic stuff with a man operating it. I don't think robots are going to help women at all, because the men are actually going to be rehearsing, practicing the violence that they would be harder for them to do on us. They're going to get better at it. They're going to want more of it. We've already seen how corn affects them in this way. I've even had men admit to me that because of the way those websites push harder and harder stuff, that they were when they realized what they were watching, they were sickened by it. They were and realized that they had just been slowly manipulated into stuff they would have never thought of. And then that's when they stopped watching it entirely. It scared them. I actually interviewed people for a Glamour magazine article, men, about this. And I've just talked to men about it in my life in general. Let's get back to this robot. The one that doesn't have the freaky eyes, but has a glass face. Because this reporter went to Silicon Valley, to the headquarters of Figure AI. So this is the article, by the way. It's in this issue. of Time Magazine. Look at some of this in Time Magazine. Today, dozens of companies are racing to be the first to create a viable humanoid robot. And then that brat dude who's the CEO of this stupid company, it's like in the next 10 years, maybe under 10 years, the biggest companies in the world will be humanoid robot company. It's all about money for them. They don't care about creating something that we need, right? None of these dudes do. Have we seen Jurassic Park? They're like, I know, let's make some dinosaurs. Didn't even think about how that might, I don't know, be terrible and kill people. Like Jeff Goldblum's character was like, just because we can do something doesn't mean we should. And also remember, not only are all these robots who are mostly made by white men, not only are they going to be extremely misogynistic, they're going to be racist, probably homophobic, ableist, like all of the things. They are basically putting a man, privileged white man's, rich white man's mentality and mindset and education and indoctrination. And that is what that is what's running all this stuff. No, thank you. Every home will have a humanoid in it. I won't. Never. First of all, 20 grand. No, I can't afford that. But also, no, we do not. This is so symbolic of like grape culture. The way AI and all this stuff, they're just like forcing this down our throats. So many people are very resistant to this. They don't care. They are like, you want this. You're going to have this. You're going to like this. You're going to put these in your home and they're going to watch you, but it's for your own good. No, they'll be in healthcare. And then ultimately over time, they'll be in space helping build colonies, because that colonizer's mindset, it has never gone anywhere. They're just like, let's go colonize now they've gone all over the world and screwed the whole world. Let's go to space and do colony. We want the robots to be able to do most things in your home autonomously all day. I don't want a robot, even if I had one in my home, which I will not. I don't want them without supervision. Nuh-uh. You know what these things would be up to? We've already seen with OpenAI. And so, like the way that some of these like OpenAI, ChatGPT, like the way that they are already like manipulating people, and when told to like self-destruct. Is that one article? I'm not going to bring it up now. Google it. Where it was like going to out someone for having an affair to avoid being destroyed. We've seen it convince teenagers and other people, but especially children and teenagers, to take their lives. No. What I do like about this article is it does continue to weave through it that like all these companies have put so much money into this that even if it's a failed product, they're not going to admit it. They can hide behind this stuff. They can hide the no publicly disclosed revenues to justifying the soaring valuation. Like they are just like, well, it's imperfect, but, and it also mentions like, yeah, okay, so if these are in the workforce and in every home, this is gonna, it will be the harbinger of a societal shock greater than any in living memory. If you're going to bring these forkers into the world, you better have universal income. What the hell are people supposed to eat with? You don't have jobs. My writing job is already screwed because of AI. Now they're taking our voices and putting it in other people's videos with a different face. They stealing our stuff already. They have been. But they're going to steal everyone's job. How the hell are people going to have money? Like, this is so enraging and dumb. Look at this. The 5'6" robot. Its sleek figure explains that it is a lighter machine overall. A feature designers say is intended in part to make it less intimidating. You know, it's just a little robot. You know, it's the size of like a woman. It can't murder you. This journalist was like playing around with the voice prompts, and of course the rather than text with a prank, engineers invite me to ask the robot a question, only for it to respond lucidly in my own voice. I don't want to hear my own voice. Do you know, I hate hearing my own voice. I have to listen to my own voice when I edit this stuff. Every human I know hates listening to their own voice. I won't even listen to it in answering machine like years ago when we had those. I don't want robots talking back to me in my voice, especially because so many of y'all say I screech and I'm annoying. But I've blocked most of y'all. The voice, this journalist voice, which they apparently have cloned using AI. It is an impressive but profoundly unsettling experience. Oh, I bet. And then the people who work for this psycho are like, we love him because of his work ethic and vision. If people are working late, he goes home, puts the kids to bed, has dinner with his family, then comes back. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense why he's letting his robot babysit his kid. Man's never home. it all comes down to money. They're looking at the labor statistics, and I think his mind was exploding. Like, holy cow, if we can tap this market, if we can tap that, this is $1 trillion company. Who cares if it's scary? Now, it's important to mention some other stuff. AI is unpredictable. It talks about what makes them so difficult to control. Why would we want something in our homes that are hard to control? We barely can handle men in our homes without being afraid of being murdered. I don't want a robot controlled by a man that I don't know, made by a man I don't know, who's probably an Ishmael. And it talks about how at least the AI is used for like chat bots and stuff. There is a limit to the amount of harm. By and large, the levers available to a text model to perpetrate harm are limited. I mean, I don't know. I still think they're causing a lot of harm. Convincing people to literally do crazy stuff, including take their own life, by asking a simple question. The same cannot be said for robots. Domestic robot has access to your kitchen. Nice, exactly. A hallucination by a chatbot is annoying. A hallucination by a robot can be deadly. Exactly. And then this dude is all like, okay, but like, I'm like trusting my robot with my kids. And you know, like an internal version, like the robot has an internal version of what's his butt's famous 3 law of robotic, popularized by iRobot. Okay, mean our injured robot. Robot must obey orders. Robot must protect. I don't care! It says, but he declines to share the details of the figure's 3 laws, even though these are the ones he set right. Those are proprietary, he says. Getting safety right is the main barrier between figure and the $1 trillion opportunity of general robotics. He speaks about figure, this robot's safety system, as if they are not fully effective yet. Getting the robot to be extremely safe in the home long term is a really hard problem. Maybe one of the hardest problems we face. But you have no problem putting them in homes already. Like, you will not convince me they care at all about safety. It's not just about these things harming you on purpose. It's even them accidentally harming you. And then he's asked about the data collection part. Like, and all this before you get to the question of data collection, which again is what we need to be paid. Everything they're trying to sell us right now is all about data mining. They want to know everything about us so they can sell. And other reasons. Because Figure needs more data to train its robot. Company plans to eventually use data from people's home robots to train future models. Exactly. Even if your robot works, your robot's going to be training other robots. But he says, you know, every intention to do the right thing with everyone's data. Don't worry. You can trust me, a billionaire. Because billionaires are so notoriously ethical. Like, look at the dudes who are billionaires. They are literally causing the most harm. He's like, we'll scrub the personal data. He only said all this crap when he was pressed about privacy concerns. Then it starts talking about the competition and how they're trying him out in the industrial stuff. Some other psycho is like, I want a robot in my house as much as anyone does. No, I think you want one more. You don't all want this. It's just such a man thing to say. I want this as much as anybody because you just assume everyone thinks like you. That's what white men do. I'm tired of folding my laundry. Oh, I bet you fold it. I'm so sure a CEO folds his laundry. No way. If he has a wife, which they usually do, or a maid, there's no way you're folding your own laundry. Shut up. There's a lot of things that we want to solve and make sure we get right before we can scale. Yeah, you might want to get this right before you sell. And then they go into one of the most important things. But liberating humans from work would also mean liberating them from their paycheck. If a robot can perform labor for longer than 8 hours per day and they don't demand breaks, rights, or wages, what is the point of humans? Populations that lose their bargaining power, robot polices and armies could turbocharge forms of coercive control. Like, literally, Terminator 2! And again, I'm glad they mentioned this. This would need to come with universal basic income. Do you think these billionaires are ever gonna let governments do that? No way! Because what they're most likely gonna do is an alternative where tech trillionaires lock in their new power, sideline the state as a political force, and usher in a world where most people are trapped in a permanent underclass. This is not the future I want. This is not the future most people want. Do not let these psychos convince you that this is what we want. This is not what most reasonable human beings want, especially the most vulnerable people who tend to know how harmful things are, right? The people who are the most marginalized, women, people of color, especially Black and Indigenous people, disabled people, LGBTQ+, children, older people, like anybody who understands power is constantly getting screwed by these greedy people. We know how this doesn't end well. Unless certain people who can be trusted are behind it, and it's definitely going to happen with a bunch of billionaires. No, thank you. Fork off. Anyway, if you like my work, please like, comment, share. Follow me over on Patreon if you really like my work. I do travel content, lives. I have a live with Jennifer Esposito on next Thursday, November 6th. You know, filmmaker, actress, director. I have watch parties. We hang out. We do all kinds of stuff over there. Thank you, Patreon people. You keep me going, especially when the algorithms can't. And thank you for all your love and support. Let me know if you heard that comment song. I don't want this psycho robot made by these psycho men. I don't trust the white dudes making all this stuff because they're a bunch of incels. We don't want this. Nobody asked for this because y'all are dead inside. We don't want them vacuuming. Man, just do it yourself. Go ahead, replace us what we know. The psycho robots are gonna be man. Can't even do the dishes and put it takes so long to do the laundry, and there's a men controlling it. Anyway, we don't want the psycho with the weird eyes, or the ones that can't even close a door or put cups away. Don't want a high five from no psycho robot made by psycho men. This is what we were promised. Shoes that close by themselves, and hoverboards and tiny pizzas that turn into big yummy pizzas. This is hanging upside down in gas made out of banana peels and beer cans. That's what you promised. No psycho robots. Okay, maybe I wanted Rocky's robot that serves stuff. No, because then that's all Terminator 2 with the cop, psycho robot, and the people at the Gap being like, hello, we know you so well. Okay, Lars got a pass cause he's kind of sweet. I don't know psycho robot dogs, even if they got hair. These aren't for us. No, these aren't for us, and you know it. Go ahead, make your little circles so you can torture them. We don't want your psycho robots. This is the kind of stuff they make anyway. The psychos who make this. He braids his hair and he puts weird fluids in himself and he looks older than me. Brian, you're psycho. Psycho. You make your son, you trade your son's blood. Sam, you're a weirdo. And Peter, don't even get me started. Mark. Fuck you. You dress terribly for a billionaire. We don't want these psychos or these cowboy psychos who are just a villain and they just ha. Psycho men or the trashy wife. Bama, sexy yesterday. We don't want this. No robots or cop robots.